Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ryuki here with another video. This time we will be discussing killers and the changes that I would make to them and their base kits to make them a lot more viable, or at least give them some quality of life changes. So most of the changes that we're going to be talking about are going to be about the killer's base power. However, a lot of the add-ons that the killers have provide effects that essentially should already be base kit. As well as that, we're going to be talking about a lot of their iridescent and purple add-ons. They have interesting effects, but they end up having a lot of drawbacks that are pretty much so substantial that it makes them not even worth using, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You have an iridescent add-on, except the drawback is so much you don't even want to use it. Like, why did the devs do that? That's just me. Those are some things we're going to be talking about. What this ends up resulting in is a lot of the green and purple add-ons end up being the best add-ons, which doesn't make sense. We're not going to go into every single little detail about every add-on that will change, but we're going to be talking about a few along with the changes to the base power. With that out of the way, let us go ahead and talk about the killers. We're going to be going in order, so let us go ahead and talk about the Trapper. Now, I have my notes up here on a Word document, so that way I don't lose track. So, the main problem with the Trapper is that his early game is pretty horrendous. He's not really able to set up, as he has to go out, gather all of his traps, set them. It's just really painful. So the changes that I would make to him is that I think that the Trapper should start by default with 3 traps in his hand instead of just 1. And I also think his maximum should be 4 traps. So the main thing holding him back in his early game, which super sucks, is just the fact that he fucking can't do anything. He's the face of Dead by Daylight, yet he only starts with 1 trap. And I don't know, I feel like that's really painful. Having 1 trap, not being able to hold more than 1 trap without add-ons, to me, that's just horrendous and it really needs to be dealt with. Along with the amount of traps that he can carry by default, we're also going to be making a change to his base kit around the Honing Stone. If you guys don't know what the Honing Stone does, is that it inflicts dying upon the trap victim if they free themselves. I think to make Trapper better, Honing Stone needs to be in his base kit. What this does is, not only does it allow the Trapper to pressure multiple areas at once if someone steps into a trap, but it also forces survivors to get off gens to go free their teammates, or heal them if they go down if a survivor decides to free themselves. I think that these quality of life changes would make Trapper far more enjoyable, as well as a much stronger killer. Most of his add-ons are actually pretty good, so we're not really going to talk about it. He has some that lets him carry more bags, darken his traps, set traps faster, makes them take longer to disarm. Overall, pretty good add-ons. Let's go ahead and move on to the next killer. We're going to be talking about the Wraith. So the Wraith is one of my second favorite killers because he has a very simple playstyle. He sneaks up on survivors and hits them when they don't expect it. He's actually not in that bad of a spot, but he does need some quality of life changes and some tweaks. I think that the very rare Windstorm add-on, which increases his movement speed while he is cloaked, should be base kit. This would help him immensely from traveling area to area, because by default he's actually pretty slow. This would also free up a lot more add-on combinations with the Wraith to allow a lot more of a variety of gameplay. Most of his add-ons are pretty good. He has a lot of interactive add-ons, such as like Reverse Wraith. So what that does is, like, his tear radius, you hear it while he is suppressed, and then you can use something to suppress it when he uncloaks, so it's kind of like Reverse Wraith. He loses his tear radius when he uncloaks instead of it being gone when he is cloaked. You have like the Bone Clapper, which gives you a global bell, or other things, you know, that give like blindness and mangled. So I think he has a good variety of add-ons. Other than that, I'm not too sure if I would change anything else about his base kit. I always thought it would be pretty cool to make the Wraith completely invisible at all times while cloaked. But in order for this to actually work, you'd have to make his footsteps slightly louder, as well as make him lose collision while he is cloaked. I'm not too sure if this would be good change, as survivors might find it too difficult to deal with, but it's still something that I would like to test in like a public test build or something like that to see if maybe it could be a good change to his kit. Alright, so aside from that, we're going to move on to the Hillbilly. So, Billy is probably one of the more balanced killers in the game. He has extreme mobility, he has an insta-down, and a player that masters him can pretty much make some extreme plays with him. Some very well-timed curves. Honestly, he is in a very, very good spot. The main thing wrong with him is that he lacks, add-on variety. His main things are like charge time, and that's like pretty much the only good add-ons on him. His carbureted tuning gun is also way too strong. This should be maybe an iridescent add-on. But that's besides the point. He needs to be given 2 iridescent add-ons. He doesn't even have any. His very rare add-ons aren't that good. There's like a turning one, and then there's one that affects like gen and gives mangled. Those aren't even that good. His add-ons kind of need just an overhaul in general. They all need to be changed. Otherwise, his base kit, he's just in a good spot. I don't think there's anything else you should change about him. Just look at his add-ons. Make them good. Carburetor's tuning guide is too good. It should probably be an iridescent add-on. So, that's all for Hillbilly. We're going to move on. Next killer is the Nurse. So as is, the Nurse is actually pretty well done. She has some interesting add-ons, but both of her add-ons are actually, her iridescent add-ons, sorry, are horrendous. Matchbox removes a blink, and then it makes her base movement speed 4.2. Like, I don't understand how that's good when you can just put on spasmodic breath, and then you can just go at 4.6 meters per second. Like, I don't get it. And you have this one. It gives you another blink, but you can't blink through objects. This is terrible. Like, her iridescent add-ons need to be reworked big time. Other than that, she has so many interesting add-ons, and her base kit is pretty fine. You actually have to be pretty skilled to play her now, so I'd say they did a pretty good job with her rework. She still is insanely strong, but otherwise there's not really much I would change about her. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the Huntress. The Huntress, while she's mostly in a good position, has one major drawback. When she's out of hatchets, she's pretty much useless. Like 100% useless. The only way to fix this would be to adjust her movement speed. Now, a lot of people have ideas to give like percentage based on missing hatchets, but me personally, I honestly don't see a problem with making her 115 altogether. Some people say she would be too strong, but I personally think that a 110 movement speed killer should not exist without some kind of mobility. Period. And that's just my opinion. Besides that, her add-ons are pretty bad. She really only needs one exhaustion add-on because she has 2. Like, this one gives a 90 exhaustion, but this one gives 30. Like, it doesn't matter how long you exhaust them because they're not going to stand still in a chase for, 30 seconds or for 90 seconds. Really, it could be 5 seconds. So she doesn't need 2 of those. Her iridescent add-on is too strong. I don't have any of them, but some people suggest things to rework it, such as making it only down at a certain range. She also needs a second iridescent add-on because she only has 1. Other than that, she's in a pretty good spot. She just needs some looked at, her add-ons just need to be looked at. Like, I don't know, a lot of them are pretty useless. And aside from actually looking at the exhaustion and the iridescent add-ons, she's in a pretty good spot. She could use some more creativity with her add-ons, but she's pretty alright. Just kind of fix her speed or give her some kind of mobility. Other than that, she's good to go. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about Big Boy Myers. Myers is probably a favorite among, everybody. He's pretty balanced outside of the fact that getting out of tier 1 takes too long. So what I would change about this is that it needs to be cut in half. Because I think it takes 5 seconds of stalking by default, but it only needs to take 2 to 3 seconds of stalking. Otherwise, his main problem is just his add-ons. Seriously, what the fuck are his add-ons? He has so many meme add-ons, and some add-ons that are just bad. And then he has add-ons like Tombstone Piece, which is a very rare, and you just straight up get to fucking murder somebody for super easy. And then he has 2 add-ons that are very rare where he doesn't even leave tier... one he doesn't leave tier 1, the other one he doesn't leave tier 2. What's the point? That, negates his power. I don't quite understand it. And then he has add-ons like this one. Hairbow is pretty good, but then you go up to Lock of Hair, and, it has such diminishing return. You have to stock so much more for so little benefit that you might as well only use Hairbow. And then you have, Boyfriend's Memo. Why would you need your lunge range of Evil Within 1 increased? I really don't understand. Like, some of his other add-ons are okay, but really, his add-ons are just a giant clusterfuck. They need to be looked at. His base kit is pretty good, just his tier 1 amount of evil he needs to get out needs to be just cut in half. Other than that, he's in a good spot. Alright, so the Hag, in my personal opinion, is one of the strongest killers in the game next to Nurse. There's actually not much I would change about her, and she has some extremely good balance. In fact, I think that Hag probably has one of the best sets of add-ons in the entire game. Overall, they're good, but she has some strange ones, like Waterlogged Shoe, which is pretty bad, because then she can't even teleport to traps. And you have add-ons like Rusty Shackles, which might as well be an Iridescent. It's so good, it just removes the indicator. Then you have like Scarred Hand, which give them collision. I don't know, there's a lot of strange add-ons, like you can't even teleport to traps after you use this one. I think that the Iridescent and the very rare ones need slight looking into. Otherwise, her base kit is very strong, and her add-ons are also well balanced. The only thing that I would say is that flashlights need to be toned down against her traps. They need to at least need to be able to shine them slightly longer on the traps, because it should be more punishing to the flashlight versus just like flash it for half a second and it just disappears. That's just my take on it, but that's what I think should change about her. Let's go ahead and move on to the Doctor. Most of you know the Doctor just got a rework. He's really strong. His add-ons do a lot. There's not much I would change about him. He has a wide variety of add-ons. For the rarity, his add-ons are pretty good. You know, I think the devs did a great job, although he possibly could be overtuned. I think that they need to keep an eye on his performance, because he might need to be slightly nerfed, because he's super strong. But for now, I wouldn't touch him. Leave him in the state he is. They did a pretty good job. And yeah. Alright. Where do we start with fucking Leatherface? So, Leatherface is good, but he's boring. His base kit needs extreme love, and I thought hard about like what we could do with his base kit, and I came up with a change of my own. Your chainsaw needs to reward you, and your movement speed while you're revving it needs to not be so like dog shit. So I think that you should be 115 while you're revving your chainsaw. But then when you hit, fully revved, your movement speed decreases to 100 when it's fully charged. This will prevent you from just walking around with your chainsaw, fully charged the entire game, while also not making it feel like you want to, cut your own ankles off revving your chainsaw because you lose so much distance. The other change that I'm going to make to him is just almost a complete overhaul, kind of. So now, after you down somebody with your chainsaw, any survivor that you see, let me rephrase that. So whenever you down a survivor, right, with your chainsaw, any survivor that's in your tear radius is going to get revealed by Killer Instinct for 3 seconds. You also enter a mode that I'm just going to give it some random name. It's going to be called Bloodlust mode for 30 seconds. In this mode, your base movement speed is increased to 5.2 meters per second, which is also 125% movement speed. Anytime you would be stunned with a pallet, you throw a tantrum, instantly destroying the pallet. However, this immobilizes you for a few seconds. Chainsaw charge time is tremendously reduced, and the speed of your chainsaw is also increased. Getting it down in this mode instantly resets Bloodlust mode until your power gauge runs out, or until you pick up a survivor. You also lose Bloodlust mode if you hit an object during a chainsaw run. So I think that this change would make him interesting and unique, and it would give him this sort of tantrum and lust mode after chainsawing somebody, and I think this would just fit his character. Other than that, he needs an extensive add-on rework, because his add-ons are pretty bad. He has charge time add-ons, and just like Hillbilly, he has carbureted tuning guide. His iridescents are terrible. Chili's terrible. Depth gauge is terrible. The chains are terrible. Bump add-ons are okay, but they're still pretty bad. His best add-ons are green and some yellow. He's really bad, but I think giving him this weird Bloodlust mode would make him a lot stronger, and he would be way more appealing to play, and he wouldn't be so weak. Alright, so next on the list is Freddy. Freddy's base kit is fine. Some of his add-ons need to be looked at, especially his iridescent add-ons, which I think might actually be too strong. Like the black box, everybody is obsessed. Or sorry, the obsession starts, you know, in the dream world and cannot be woken up. And then you have red paintbrush. All survivors start in the dream world and they all cannot wake up by skill checks anymore. His very rare add-ons also need slightly look at because his Z block is kind of bad. I don't think you need swing chains. I think some of them just need to be kind of reworked. Other than that, his base kit is really, really good. I wouldn't change anything about it. So just take a small look at his add-ons, fix them, and he'll be in a great spot. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about the pig. The pig is extremely frustrating to play, and sometimes her add-ons work against her own power. So I thought a decent bit about a change to her traps, her reverse bear traps, and this is kind of what I came up with. So if a survivor completes a generator while there is an active reverse bear trap in the trial, any active reverse bear traps instantly lose 30 seconds to their timer. So this might sound a little OP, so it might be worth reducing the time that it takes off, maybe to like 15 or 20 seconds, but I think it adds another element of make your choice to the pig, which is very well themed with the series of Saw. The luck involved is also kind of frustrating, so making it to where a survivor must search a minimum of at least one box might be, you know, pretty helpful to alleviate some of the frustrations. And then her add-ons, of course, need to be looked at, because some of her best ones are like yellow, and this gray one, combat straps. And you have Amanda's letter. Like, what's the point of using this when it completely destroys your power? I really don't understand. Then you have add-ons like failing a skill check. Who's going to fail a skill check on a fucking box? Then you have things like exhaustion, mangled, blindness, while they have a trap on. What does it even matter? They're going to be like trying to get their trap off. You're not going to be chasing them. They don't need all these things. A lot of her add-ons just need to be looked at. Her very rares are pretty good. Rule set number 2 is good, but you know, some of these are just, they just need to be looked at. They're very counterintuitive. So, you know, change how popping a generator interacts with somebody who already has a trap on. This would help postpone people like rushing gens, add a little bit more of a scare to actually, you know, completing the objective, give it more of a make your choice theme, and she'd probably be in a decent spot. Alright, so the clown. Our boy Clown is in such a sorry state. Freddy and Doctor can clown better than the clown. He's bad. He slows down so much when he's throwing his bottles. He has to take 7 years to reload. It's so bad. He really needs some love. So what I would do, his bottles need to be more potent, so they need to hinder a lot more. He needs less time to reload because right now it takes tremendously long. And then he needs less speed loss when he's tossing a bottle. Because what does he drop down to when he throws a bottle? Momentarily, he slows down to like 85%. That's terrible. He also needs a better penalty for directly hitting a survivor with a bottle. So when you hit somebody with a bottle, maybe make it to where they can't throw down a pallet anymore, or they can't vault a window. I don't know. Otherwise, you know, he just needs a lot of his add-ons to be base kit. Like, Thick Cork Stopper should be base kit. Starling Feather should be base kit. Some of his Intoxication add-ons should be base kit. Overall, he just needs to be looked at. He's just bad in general. He needs some kind of mobility. His bottles are just underwhelming, because you might as well just play Freddy or Doctor. Like, what's the point? So that's what I would change about him. Fix that, and he might be in a lot better position than he is now. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the Spirit. Spirit, she's overall a good killer, and her add-ons are kind of balanced. The main problem I have with her is that she needs some kind of phasing indicator. And I don't care how it's implemented. It could be her husk slowly teleporting with her. So you know what I mean? Like, you see her husk slowly moving in, like, glimpses. Or, you know, maybe her body will give some kind of indicator. Like, her hair freaking goes Super Saiyan. I don't know. She just needs some kind of counterplay. We need to know when she's phasing. Because it's not fun on the survivor end when you're just sitting there and you're like, well, I don't fucking know. I guess I'm just going to die. She just needs an indicator. I don't know how they're going to do it. But just fix it. Just make her body indicate that she's phasing. Or make it to where you can slowly see her husk shifting with her. That's all you need to do. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the Legion. I already dedicated an entire video to a Legion rework. How I'd fix him. how to fix his add-ons, all that jazz. So I'm just going to sum this up, and I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video on the Legion, because might as well go watch that. I go like super in depth. But to summarize it, you need to fix his add-ons. A lot of them suck. He needs to be faster in Frenzy. His Frenzy needs to last longer, and his fatigue needs to be much shorter. Do that, and he'll be in an amazing spot. That's all I'm going to say about it. Go check out my video strictly about the Legion if you want to see more in-depth what I would change about all of his add-ons and all that jazz. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about the Plague. The Plague is pretty underwhelming to play. So the problem with her is that a lot of her add-ons only work when someone isn't fully broken, such as effectiveness and all that jazz, and after that they become pretty useless. She needs some add-on variety, and her iridescent add-ons are pretty good, but most of her add-ons need secondary effects, so they're not useless. For example, rubbing oil moderately increases vial purge, or sorry, not rubbing oil, I meant this one, the emetic. So it moderately increases the effectiveness. Okay, that's good and all, but now they're broken, so what are you going to do? Nothing. It's so useless after that. Like a lot of her add-ons, like this one, this has 2 effects. You need a lot of her add-ons to have like secondary effects so they're not useless. And with her upcoming change to Starter Pool already corrupted, she's probably going to be a lot stronger. Players also need to be punished the longer they are broken, such as gaining status effect like Hindered, Slower Generator Repair, and Exhaustion. These should accumulate slowly over time so they don't have to instantly cleanse, and then they can cleanse when the time is right, or at least when they feel the time is right. Other than that, that's all I would change, just a few add-on tweaks, and she's in a good spot. Alright, now we got our boy Ghostface. Ghostface is actually in a pretty good spot, but his Nitro charge, or recharge, is actually just fucking horrendous. It takes 30 seconds to recharge. It needs to at least be cut by 10 seconds. Maybe even 15 seconds, but at least 10 seconds. It's really bad. He also needs some better high quality add-ons, because his best add-ons are green, and that shouldn't really be the case. Like, for example, Ghostface Caught on Tape, it's not really that good. Outdoor security camera is alright. Like, crouch speed, really, and Killer Instinct, but it makes you get revealed easier. I don't understand the point of some of these add-ons, but they need to be made better. I'm not going to go into details on how I'd fix them, but his add-ons just need to be looked at. Otherwise, his base kit, just reduce the time it takes to charge Night Shroud, because it's so bad. Other than that, that's all we're going to say about Ghostface. Alright, so now we're going to jump into the Demogorgon. So overall, I think Demogorgon is actually one of the most balanced killers in the game. He just needs a few quality of life changes. For example, the add-on Rat Liver. Where is it? This one right here. It needs to be base kit, because you lose a lot of movement speed when you're charging of the Abyss, and I don't understand why. So just make that base kit, and it's going to be a lot better for him. He also needs a longer undetectable after he leaves the portal. Like, for example, Red Moss. It makes your undetectable last for like 15 seconds. Something like that. That just needs to be base kit. And that's just my opinion. I find the best strategy currently is to trap generators. And that shouldn't be the case. You should be able to trap away from generators. That way you can sneak up on survivors. And speaking of sneaking up on survivors, he needs his sound cues removed. Like teleporting and all that jazz. He gives so much information to the survivors. He really doesn't need to. Like, just remove the teleporting sound. Like, why did the survivors need to know? Increase his undetectable status. He'll be a lot more scary, and maybe I won't go around trapping all the generators all the time. That's just me. Overall, though, he's pretty balanced. There's not much else that I would change about him. He's in an amazing spot. I love the Demogorgon. He's a good boy. Alright, so the last killer on the list is the Oni. The Oni is extremely fun, but he still needs to be changed so Infectious Fright isn't meta on him. It's just so bad, dude. Like, I can't even imagine playing him without Infectious Fright. He also needs, in accordance, to have far less penalty, because I don't want to slug all the time. He doesn't need a penalty to like downing people while in blood frenzy. He doesn't need to lose his power like when he picks somebody up. It's just weird for me, right? I feel like I need to slug because his power just makes it seem that way, right? And I don't think it should be like that. I just don't want to have to run Infectious Fright all the time and like go bash the shit out of like their entire team. His add-ons also need to be looked at. For example, this top knot right here is his best add-on. It should be iridescent. His iridescent add-ons suck. Some of his very rares are pretty good, but otherwise they're like mediocre. To fix him, he just needs slight tweaks to the way his add-ons work. Like this one, move it up to very rare or iridescent, I don't fucking know. And he needs way less penalty for using his power and downing people and picking them up. Like, I love the Oni, but I just have to go slug their entire team. That's how it feels to me. I put on Infectious Fright and I go ham. It just feels so bad picking somebody up. So, that's pretty much all I would change. Pretty fun killer. Alright. So, that's going to end the video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the suggestions. A lot of the suggestions just have to do with like add-on changes being base kit. Now, don't get the wrong idea. Don't like sit there and be like, oh, well, that's just going to be overpowered. You don't know anything. Like, why are you even suggesting that change? Do you even know anything about the game, right? These are just changes I made up on a whim. It's fucking like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I just wanted to have some fun, throw out some suggestions and all that jazz. If you enjoyed it and you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, join the Discord, everything like that. Drop your own fixes to the killers down in the description. We'd love to look at them, listen to them. Other than that, that's all I got to say. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever time it is whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in the fog. Peace.